Welcome to my review of Carlton's East London School Days, inspired by Carlton's 2021 best-selling autobiography. I'm your host Andy, and today we're diving into Carlton's early education and experiences growing up in East London. Get ready for a nostalgic journey through the streets of Forest Gate and the classrooms that shaped a young lad's life, way before he became a well-known name. Elmhurst Primary School in Forest Gate, London, holds a special place in Carlton's heart. It was the perfect setting for his early education, located less than a 10-minute walk from his house. This proximity was a blessing for his mum, who appreciated the convenience. The streets surrounding the school were a playground in themselves, filled with endless possibilities for a young East London kid with a Peter Pan mindset. Every corner offered a new adventure, and the area was always bustling with life. What truly brought the neighbourhood to life were the children. Kids were playing everywhere, not just on Carlton Street, but all along the route to and from school. The basic, somewhat dull buildings and houses were transformed by the energy and excitement of youngsters at play. For Carlton, Elmhurst Primary was more than just a school. It was like a second home, a toy shop with teachers. It was a place to learn, meet friends, and most importantly for him, play football at every opportunity. Carlton's primary school days were a blend of academic success and youthful exuberance. He excelled in his studies, consistently impressing his teachers with his aptitude and enthusiasm for learning. The classroom was a place where Carlton thrived, soaking up knowledge and eagerly participating in lessons. But it wasn't all about books and exams. Carlton's true passion was football, and he seized every opportunity to kick a ball around. Before school, during breaks, and after the final bell, you'd find him in the playground, organising impromptu matches with his classmates. These years were also crucial for Carlton's social development. He made new friends, forming bonds that extended beyond his immediate neighbourhood. Together they navigated the unwritten rules of childhood, learning the art of playful mischief without crossing into true trouble. Carlton and his mates tested boundaries, seeing how far they could push with their boyish cheek. They'd try their luck with both teachers and parents, but it was always done with a sense of innocence and good humour. It was a time of exploration, laughter, and the pure joy of being a kid in East London. Carlton's success in the 11+ exam was a turning point in his life, but not one he welcomed. Despite scoring highly, he was gutted to learn he'd be attending Stratford Grammar, away from all his primary school mates. His mum couldn't have been prouder, but Carlton saw it as a sentence rather than an opportunity. The contrast between primary school and grammar school was stark. Gone were the carefree days with cheerful teachers and familiar faces. Instead, Carlton found himself in a sea of unfamiliar students, all wearing identical penguin-like uniforms. On his first day, Carlton felt completely out of place. The returning students seemed like predators circling the new kids. He felt exposed and isolated, longing for the comfort of his old school. The teachers appeared as towering, emotionless figures, and even simple tasks like going to the toilets became daunting. To make matters worse, Carlton had to wear thick-rimmed NHS glasses, which made him an easy target for teasing. He tried everything to avoid wearing them, even risking poor eyesight to escape the ridicule. Fitting in was a constant struggle. The academic focus was intense, and the social dynamics were completely different from what he was used to. Bullying became a harsh reality, with older students often targeting the younger ones. Carlton found himself having to learn quickly how to navigate this new, challenging environment. As Carlton entered his teenage years, his world expanded beyond the confines of school. He started taking on part-time jobs, working milk rounds and market stalls, eager to earn a few quid of his own. This newfound independence coincided with a growing interest in music and fashion. The early 70s saw glam rock taking centre stage, and Carlton was all in. He fondly remembers buying his first album, T-Rex's Electric Warrior, for £2, a full day's wages at the time. Music became a hot topic among his peers, with David Bowie, Slade, and other popular acts dominating conversations. As his tastes in music and fashion evolved, so did his interest in girls. At 13, Carlton found himself, in his own words, full-on girls. Birthday parties became prime opportunities for social interaction, often involving sneaked-in bottles of gin or cider. These gatherings were a mix of excitement and awkwardness, filled with fumbling attempts at romance and whispered promises of secrecy. The social scene became increasingly important, with Carlton and his friends constantly seeking out parties and opportunities to mingle with the opposite sex. These years were a whirlwind of new experiences, shaping Carlton's identity and setting the stage for his later teenage adventures. It was during my early years at grammar school that I experienced bullying from the older kids. They'd pick on the younger ones, especially on coach trips to football matches. Being a bit broader and taller than most, I became a target, but I'd had enough of it. One day, I decided to stand up not just for myself, but for the other kids being bullied. I confronted one of the bullies behind the bike sheds after school. It was a proper East End showdown, with a circle of boys egging us on. Despite being smaller and younger, I refused to stay down when knocked over. I jumped right back up and shouted, "Is that all you've got?" This defiance marked a turning point. I started to fight back against the bullies, taking on anyone who tried to push me or others around. It didn't matter how old or big they were, I wouldn't tolerate it. Word spread quickly, and soon I became known as the main fighter in my year. This reputation brought a new level of respect, even from the older students. I found my place in the school hierarchy, no longer suffering at the hands of cowards. Standing up to bullies wasn't just about protecting myself. It was about creating a safer environment for everyone, and in doing so, I discovered a strength I didn't know I had. School rivalries were a big part of our teenage years, and I found myself right in the thick of it. Our grammar school wasn't known for its tough guys, but that didn't stop us from getting into scraps with other local schools. I remember one particular incident when word spread that a massive group from Forest Gate High was coming to fight us. The rumour mill went into overdrive, claiming hundreds of Docker-sized men were on their way. In reality, it was about 50 lads our own age. As my reputation for fighting grew, I became sort of a go-to guy for these confrontations. It was a strange mix of excitement and nervousness, standing there with my schoolmates, facing off against our rivals. This newfound status brought some perks. Suddenly I was welcome to hang out with the older kids at school, and let me tell you, that opened up a whole new world, especially when it came to girls. The older girls were more experienced, more developed, and suddenly they were interested in me. It was a heady time, balancing between the thrill of these school confrontations and the attention from girls. Looking back, it was probably more bravado than actual danger, but at the time it felt like we were living on the edge. As Carlton's teenage years progressed, his focus shifted dramatically from academics to fashion, girls, and rebellion. He became obsessed with his appearance, always on the lookout for the latest trends. Stay-pressed trousers, Dr. Martin boots, and Ben Sherman shirts became his uniform of choice. To improve his chances with the girls, Carlton made a strategic decision to join the cookery class. Surprisingly, he excelled, even earning one of his O-levels in the subject, but his main goal was clear: to be surrounded by girls. Carlton's rebellious streak often put him at odds with school administration. He'd show up in clothes that pushed the boundaries, knowing full well he'd be sent home to change. But for Carlton, this was just another opportunity to bunk off school and boost his reputation among the girls. His pursuit of romance was relentless. Carlton meticulously planned his encounters, memorizing parents' schedules to maximize alone time with girls. He was driven by hormones and a desire to be the quintessential bad boy that he thought girls wanted. And there you have it, folks. Carlton's journey through his East London school days was quite the roller coaster. From a studious, well-behaved primary school student to a rebellious teenager, we've seen the stark contrast between his early years and his later school experiences. On one hand, we have Carlton's father, holding on to dreams of his son becoming a marine engineer, counting those 14 O-levels and planning out a career at the East London docks. But on the other, we see young Carlton, bursting with a desire for freedom and adventure, counting down the days until he could live life on his own terms. It's a classic tale of generational expectations, clashing with youthful rebellion, set against the vibrant backdrop of East London in the 1970s. Thanks for tuning in to Carlton's East London School Days. Be sure to let us know what you think in the comments. Until next time, this is Andy signing off.